Yo, what's going on, guys? K7 Showoff here, and in today's video, we're finally going over it. What you've all been pretty much waiting for is the good old Rain guide. I know there's not too many people playing him. Ever since the 3 DLC characters came out, he's probably been like one of the lesser explored characters. Well, in my point of view, at least, I've been only really seeing me play him. I've been running into Molinas, I've been running into Rambos, but I haven't seen too much Rain. And I think the character is really, really good. And in today's video, like I said, we're going over a little guide for my boy. And real quick, before I start the video, I want to say I do appreciate you guys all supporting me. It really does mean a lot. But if you could, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. It really does help a lot. But without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna try to go over it as much as I can in one video, but I also don't want it to be too long either. So I'm gonna try to fit everything in one video. I don't want it to be too long, but if it happens to be fairly long, then just stick it out. I'll probably have some sort of like notations in the comments guiding you to different parts of the video. But let's get started. So to start out, we'll talk about his normals. So stand 1. Really good anti-air button. Well, I wouldn't say really good, it's serviceable, it works. So to stand 2, pretty much all his stand normals are pretty good anti-airs, as they're all quick, like 7 frame on the stand 1, 9 frames on the stand 2, 10 frames on the stand 3, and 11 frames on the stand 4. They all work for anti-airs. Some are better than others, of course. So let me just make him jump at me really quickly. Like if I see him jump, you can get stand 2 on the anti-air, or you can get stand 1. Either or works. Stand 3 works as well, but it's hard to pick up off of since it kicks them away. And the same thing goes for stand 4. It does kick them away on anti-air, so it is a little bit hard to pick up after it. But if you were to use a different button like stand 1 or stand 2, it's fairly easy to pick up off of. So it does work in your favor for anti-airs. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about his jump-ins real quick. Jump 3, really good jump in, really good. It hits crossover, it hits same side really well. It hits really early as 10 frame startup, so like it hits like pretty fast. And also you can do it really early when you jump. Like you can actually instant jump 3 and it'll hit your opponent. So like it's just really good in general. Really solid jump 3, one of the best ones in the game if you ask me. His jump 1 is that's mainly his air-to-air jump in, but his jump 2 is really where it's at if you want to jump in on someone, jump in on an opponent that's fairly far away. Like at ranges that jump kick whiffs, the jump 2 will hit. It does have really good range, and it's also really good when coming down from Hydra Boost as well. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Now let's go into his command normals, because he does have a few of them. He has forward 3. Not command normals. I mean, I guess they're kind of command normals, but like he has forward 3, so it's 11 frame, 2 hitting, and it's -1 on block. So let me just make the bot block here. -1. So that means you can mash on it after. Like every time you do forward 3, you can press down 1 pretty much every time. The only time your opponent can stop your down 1 is if they down 1 first. And which is fairly obvious since you're -1. So technically, if you both have 7 frame jabs, yours will come out in 8 frames and theirs will come out in 6. So you just get beat there every time. So it kind of forces your opponent to play this mind game of like, okay, after forward 3, am I gonna poke or am I gonna block? Because he's gonna poke. So like if I do forward 3 and my opponent mashes and I block the poke, I'll be +6 because down ones universally I believe now are -6. So you can just play a little like strike throw mind game there. Like I can forward 3 and I can grab if I think he's gonna block, or I can forward 3, block if I think he's gonna mash, and then I can grab, or then I can poke, or then I can mid. Like you have so many options. It's pretty much it's a good mind game to have off of that button. It's really solid. Now forward 4, really solid range. It's like a slight step back from character start. It'll still hit. Just a character start button in general. So those are like the 2 command buttons that he kind of has. They don't really lead into much, but they work pretty well. Now his sweep, it's pretty good. It's a serviceable sweep. It's not like anything too crazy, but it does work for what it's worth. 12 frame startup, -4 on block. It does have slight pushback on it, like when you hit your opponent. So like, and since it's -4, you can always just backdash afterwards. So it's really good on the spacing end of things. Now his pokes Down 1, it's pretty solid, but his down 3 is where it's at. This is actually his best poke in my opinion. It doesn't have a hurt box, as you can see. He like splashes water, so like your opponent cannot hit the water. But if I were to do something like down 4, your opponent can hit your foot. So like it's better to like not have an extremity on the screen, if that makes sense, or a limb on the screen, and you can like use the water instead. It's really solid, really good. His pokes are really good. His jab is serviceable. Down 2, really, it goes really high up in the air. It doesn't really go too far forward. As you can see, he's like right in front of me almost, and like I don't down to him. Doesn't go very far forward. Anything that I'm missing? Let's talk about his throws. His throws, he has a crushing blow on both throws. Really, really good. That makes him a really good grappler in this game. Not grappler, but it makes his strike throw game really, really good. As you can see, we got the KB on the front throw. Got the crushing ball on the back throw, and both throws actually leave them nearly full screen, so you don't get throw loops with this character, which is quite unfortunate. Do the back throw so you guys can see. Now past that, let's talk about his mids now, because to have a good throw game, you have to have good mids as well and good jails to like have people respect your throws, or respect your mids so you can start throwing them. He has a 10 frame back 2. The range is fairly bad if you ask me. Like, look, like he's really just in front of me and it still like misses. Like it's really bad range. But if you happen to be really up close to them, it works. Like it's a mid that works, and it combos into Hydro Boost. So like, hit confirmable mid, combos into Hydro Boost. Use it when you can, you know. Now the best situation to use it is not after a counter poke situation. Is after hit advantage situations. So like if I were to hit the opponent with down 3, the best thing I could do here if I want to use my back 2 is dash up back 2, because that jails, they can't do anything about that. If he's matching, he gets counter hit. If he's jumping, he gets hit. You know, you can't do anything. Like you have to hold the mid. But in a situation like this where Scorpion wants to down 1, if I back 2, it'll whiff sometimes, or like if I don't do it like nearly perfect timing every time, they'll be able to backdash, and I won't be able to catch the counter hit on the backdash. Same, it goes the same for like longer pokes like down 3. If you were to like do down 3 backdash, and I try to back to him, it just won't work. Like it literally just whiffs. It will not work. Doesn't matter if I do it like perfect timing either here in this situation. It just doesn't work. So it's not a solid mid to take your turn back with all the time. You just want to do it off a hit advantage, in my opinion. So that's really the best way to use that mid. You can use forward 2, but forward 2 grab on block is punishable, and forward 2 down 4, the ender to the string, it's a knockdown. It doesn't give much. It, like, you can't combo off of it, you can't hit confirm it or anything like that. So and let's talk about the back 2-1-2 ender. This has a flawless block gap, so this string also falls short in more than one way. It doesn't have good range, and it doesn't have a flawless block gap. But to get around that, to cover your flawless block gap, you can actually Hydro Boost. So if your opponent is trying to flawless block and you Hydro Boost, as you can see, the bot did not flawless block anything there because Hydro Boost jails. So like you do back 2-1 into Hydro Boost, they can't flawless block any of that. But if you do back 2-1-2, they can flawless block punish you. So like it's a little bit of a mind game there. Like, so am I gonna finish a string and see if he flawless blocks, or like do I stagger it and then go for a throw, or do I stagger back 2, go for it again, see if he presses, or do I do it and catch him out of like, you know, pressing, or catch him out of flawless blocking and get the hit? You know, he has a mind game in pretty much everything that he does. To give you another situation, so instead of doing down 3 into the back 2 situation, we can do down 3 stand 1. Now this is where the mind games also happen, because 1-3-3 is high mid high, so your opponent can actually duck the last hit. So I'll have him stance block, so high mid, and then you see he gets hit by the high again. I mean, he ducks the high, so he blocks the mid, ducks the high, but you also have an overhead ender that you can use, but the overhead ender also has a flaw as well. It has a flawless block gap. So if you do it, they can flawless block the gap. So to cover both of your options here, to where you would normally be at a bad situation, you can do 1-3 into Hydro Boost. Now, if he's trying to flawless block, he'll get hit. Or if he's trying to duck the high and he just let go of block, he gets hit as well. So just more pressure and more mind games for Rain. And instead of ending the string at all, or instead of going on a Hydro Boost, you can stagger it. Like you do stand 1, stand 1, 3, stand 1, 3, grab, stand 1, 3, end the string sometimes, you know. Just keep them guessing on what you're going to do next. With Rain, it's really important that you're not, you know, really one layered. You have to really mix up your options with this character. Otherwise, you won't see his potential and you will not be able to do well with this character. It just doesn't work like that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the special moves. Now, for the special moves, we have Geyser Palm. This is the variation that I chose, by the way. We have Geyser Palm, we have Guitar Toss, we have Argus Plunge, we have Hydroplane, we have Hydro Boost, and we have Evaporate. Now, let's start by talking about his projectile. His projectile is one of the best projectiles, in my opinion. It has pros and cons. It's a different projectile. I won't say it's one of the best because there are better projectiles. But if you just throw it, it's a high, so they can duck it. But you can throw it, and then while it's mid-flight, you can actually enhance it and make it a mid. So if you've been like conditioning them by just throwing projectiles, getting the duck, boom, you make it a mid, they get hit. And even if you just amp it right away, it becomes a mid and it makes the recovery quicker. So that's good as well. So that's another way you can amp it. And if they were to block the said projectile at a max range, you're plus 21 on block. So you can do it and they block it, plus 21. Not that there's really much you can do with these plus frames besides dash in if you're facing the zoner, or backdash if you're trying to get away, but like you're still plus. It's still good to take note of here. And another way to amplify this projectile is you wait till it hits, and when it hits, you can amp it. You get more damage than a standard amplify. So standard amplify gives you 9%, but if you hit and then amplify, you get 98. So it's small damage, but it's still more, and it gives you a good knockdown. So as you can see, you got like a little slide knockdown there, and I have 28 frames of hit advantage. While if I just amp it normally, it says 50 frames of hit advantage, but you lose out on the damage. So like if you're facing a zoner, this knockdown is really good as well, because you get the good knockdown, you get a dash in. You know, you get to start advancing on the zoner. Geyser Palm, this is your anti-air special, works really well, and also it's really good in combos as well. So I'll just make us close again. If you hit 133, it combos straight into Geyser Palm. If you don't amp it, you get just a knockdown, 25 hit advantage. But if you amp it, you get to combo your opponent, like so. Or if you don't drop it like me, you get to combo your opponent. Really solid damage. 27% is nothing to scoff at. Pretty solid damage. And actually, if you just hit pretty much any confirm into Geyser Palm as an ender, you can get nearly 30%. So Hydro Boost actually makes his damage really good. Hydro Boost combined with Geyser Palm is what I wanted to say. But Geyser Palm, like I said, you can launch off of it. It works off of anti-air confirms too. So if I just make Scorpion jump here, you know, I catch him and I want to anti-air confirm, you use Geyser Palm and you get solid damage. But if I wanted to do something like use Hydro Boost in this anti-air, it doesn't really work well, as you can see. It doesn't really launch how you want it to launch. So that's why Geyser Palm is really good, in my opinion. And it works really well for like a lot of characters that like to stay in the air a lot. Like it works for Devora when she likes to, you know, pest you with that jump 1, or Sub-Zeros like to jump, you can catch them out of the air. Pretty much any situation where anybody's jumping on you a lot, you get them out there with that. Now Argus Plunge, this move is your corner carry and armor breaker. So if you were to combo someone and you want to bring them to the corner, you would end your combo in Argus Plunge. Brings them straight to the corner. It works either way. Like if you want to use it in this combo too and you want to bring them to the corner, boom, you have corner position nearly. It's less damage, slightly less damage than Geyser Palm, but it's worth it for the positioning if you want to get them in the corner. And it works well on armor break as well. Let me show you guys a quick setup with Geyser Palm and Argus Plunge. So I'm going to record Rain to combo me with Argus Plunge. I'm going to show you what situations you can break out of and what situations you can't. So if you get hit by this, by the geyser palm, and you let him amplify without breaking, everything that he does afterwards is guaranteed. And let me show you. So I can break here if I wanted to, or even if I get hit by the geyser palm and I break, yeah, sure, whatever. But if Rain actually manages to land it, stand 3 into Argus Plunge is actually guaranteed. So I'm gonna show you. If you look at the inputs on the right side, I'm trying to break away as fast as I can, and I cannot break away. So right now you can see I can break at any time if I wanted to, but if you get hit by this, I'm mashing break. You cannot. It's guaranteed every single time. I hit this a lot in games. A lot of people don't know about it. But even if you do know about it, there's some situations where you're trying to break away and Rain just hits you with it. You just get caught. 45% big damage, really solid. It also works really well on anti-air. So like, if you ever catch somebody breaking away after anti-air, you press a button straight into it, catch the armor break, it'll get a good like 30%. Works very well. I spoke a little bit about Hydro Boost, but I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it. It's really solid, pretty much better than Rain Kick in my opinion, because it covers his flaws block gaps and it gives him the most damage that he could possibly get, pretty much. Especially in the corner. In the corner you get a lot of damage off of this move. Like, the damage you get off of this move is pretty much insane. Like 40% off of 2 bars, like it works really well. In my opinion, this is like the most damage you can get with this character. It's not even like opinionated. This is literally the most damage you can get with Rain. If you have Hydro Boost, 40% for 2 bars is nothing to scoff at. That's actually really good damage. In the corner, it works really well. There's setups you can do off of Hydro Boost. So like, if I wanted to set up my opponent here, this covers all wake up options. That combo right there, and I'll show you exactly how it works. And in this segment, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about setups and whatnot here. Now, to use Hydro Boost properly on setups and in combos, I'll show you really quickly. If you were to do a combo that looks something like this, you can set up your opponent to not be able to wake up on you, and it meaties perfectly. So let me set Scorpion to wake up 3. Spear Slice, is that the up 3? Yeah. Okay. So let me show you guys the combo real quick. You see how opponent's the up 3 there? You cannot wake up if he meaties you with Hydro Boost. It works so well. It also covers up 2. It meaties, so if he does up 2, he just gets hit by the Hydro Boost. So I'll just set him to up 2 really quickly. This is just the variation that I use. If you guys find other move sets that you like, that works well too. But I think Hydro Boost is Rain's best ability, so I wouldn't see a reason to use anything other than this. As you can see, it beat out the up 2 as well. It does catch rolls. It won't catch rolls on startup, but you'll be able to come down with a button and make sure that you don't get punished after the roll. So I won't show that off, but you guys get the idea. As you can see, you just cover wake up options with this if you manage to combo with it meterlessly. It's not really hard to combo meterlessly into it. It's just you have to be mindful of the character that you're fighting against, because some combos work differently. So if I were to be playing against a female character, this setup does not work as consistent as you might think. I don't know why it does work like that, but that's just how Mortal Kombat games always been. Female characters usually just don't hold the same combos or hold the same pressure that majority of the cast does. So now, to use Hydro Boost against your opponent on block, it does not work the same for all characters. Against Scorpion, if I do back 2-1 into Hydro Boost, same thing with Melina for right now. So like, look, back 2-1 in the Hydro Boost, you see how both of the water spouts that come out from under Rain, there's 2 of them. So if you do back 2-1 in the Hydro Boost, both of them normally would hit on male characters, but against characters like Melina, which I'm going to show you right now, if they are duck blocking and you do back 2-1 in the Hydro Boost, I'll make her stance hold, the second water spout whiffs. So what that means for Melina is that she can anti-air me without having to worry about me coming down with a button, just because the second water spout whiffed, and she does not have to hold that block stun. So let me show you really quickly. So I'll record Rain to do back to 1 into Hydro Boost. See how that one whiffed? If he does anything, it doesn't even matter. I get to down 2 him every time, and you get to combo afterwards. This happens with other male characters as well. It's not just Melina. Like certain characters you just have to figure out the matchup with. I can't give you all the names off the top of my head, but if you guys go in the lab, you'll see what I'm talking about. And to stop this from happening, you have to use different strings. Now, back one into Hydro Boost jails every time. So that's what makes back one good in my opinion, but back three is probably Rain's most underrated button. It's a low, so it'll clip a lot of opponents that are stand blocking, trying to maybe tech throws or something, so you could dash in and then use back three. It works really well, and it jails into Hydro Boost every time, even if they're crouch blocking, stand blocking, doesn't matter. So that means she has to hold this now, and if she gets hit, you can combo. So now you don't have to deal with her anti-airing you every time, and on top of that, if she manages to get hit by it, you still get the combo, as you can see here, and you still get 30%, which is a really solid damage. Like off of the back three, that's really good. You actually get even more damage than doing back 2-1. Back 2-1 gives you less damage than back three, but the thing about back 2-1 compared to back three is that back three you can't hit confirm it, you just have to do it. But back 2-1 you can hit confirm into it and see like, okay, they got hit by the back 2-1, go into Hydro Boost. But the thing about Hydro Boost is why I use it on Rain is that you don't have to hit confirm pretty much anything. You can just kind of like do a button into it, and if they get hit, you combo. If they block, you come down with the button. It's really that simple. Now, it's not going to be easy because if you do that too much, some opponents are going to see what you're doing and start anti-airing you. They're going to start flawless blocking when you come down, which is a thing you can do. I'll show you guys really fast. Let me set the bot to flawless block. You can flawless block when Rain comes down with a button. There is a flawless block gap on nearly everything. No, actually there is a flawless block gap on everything. So to stop you from getting flawless blocked, a lot of times what you can do, you can just amplify it and then come down with nothing if you know they're flawless blocking a lot, or delay your timings, like do a really late jump in, or you could do an early jump kick. Not too early because it'll whiff and you'll just get punished, but semi-early jump kick. There's ways to circumvent this. You just have to change up your timings. It does work pretty well. But enough about Hydro Boost on block, as I just showed you guys pretty much everything you need to know about it. Let's talk about setting up your opponent after combos and hit advantage after combos. So Rain has a few different ways to end his combos. You can end in the side switch, which I just ended with there, and you get you're plus 22 after that. Now you can dash up and meter your opponent with back two, or instead of ending like that, you can end for the corner carry, which is that works well too. But my favorite way to end my combos is the 2-4-2 grab string. Now the 2-4-2 grab string on block is punishable, so you don't use this really just whenever. As you can see, it's -9. Your opponent can just jab punish you there every time. So you don't want to use it on block. You want to use it in combos, but normally when your opponent does not have breakaway, you want to use it, because if they break away while you use this, you can get punished. I'm not going to demonstrate that now, but just you guys just have to take my word for it on that one. But if you manage to hit your opponent with this ender, you're plus 13 on hit. So what that means is that back three is 13 for him to start up. So if you ever hit 2-4-2 grab, every time your opponent wakes up and you do back three as a meaty, you hit them every single time. Every single time. If they wake up buttons after this, they get hit. If they wake up jump after this, they get hit. If they, it doesn't matter what if they wake up stand block, they get hit. So you can start playing mind games off of this string. So like, if they know you're gonna meet it with back three every time, sometimes they like to delay wake up. And let me show you what happens if they delay. Delay get up on, and if they delay their wake up and you do back three, what you're doing is option selecting here, and I'm gonna explain the option selector right now. So you can meet it with back three. If they delay their wake up, you'll just end in back 3-4, and that hits on their wake up even if they delay it. So let me show you again. Let me set the get up mode to random so you guys can see how this OS works. Get up mode random, and I don't want them to do a get up attack. I just get up throw is fine. Okay, so if she delays the wake up, she'll get hit. But if she gets hit by the meaty, as you can see. But if she wakes up immediately, she gets comboed, because if she's not blocking. So every time you're gonna see if I whiff it, it goes straight into the ender of the string. But if I hit it, I'm gonna launch her. Yep, as you can see, the bot keeps delaying wake up. I'm starting to think I don't have it on random. I don't have it on random. Okay. So random. She got hit by the ender of the string. I didn't do it right there, but it didn't matter. Delayed wake up. Got up right away, tried to throw me, and you see Melina got launched there. Because, like I said, this is the option select. And let me tell you how to do it really quickly. You do back 3 into forward 4. So how it works is the back 3 will come out, and forward 4 will input as Hydro Boost because you just did the back input for the back 3. So back 3, forward 4. And it lets you combo. You don't drop it like I just did. It just, as you can see, it lets you combo. But on whiff, you can't whiff cancel in the special moves in Mortal Kombat 11. So if I do back 3 forward 4, the end of the string just comes out. So this option select works really well. But I'm gonna show you guys a way to beat it, just so you guys know if your opponent is on this level of the mind game that you have to be wary of it. If your opponent wakes up and flawless blocks the attack, then you actually get punished, which is unfortunate, but it's a thing that can happen. So let me change the bot to auto block, and now the bot is gonna delay wake up, and the bot flawless blocked, and as you can see, I'm -10 on flawless block, so I can get jab punished there. So if you ever hit this and you catch somebody trying to flawless block the second part of it, if you ever get flawless blocked on it at all, just do back 3 on whiff and just block, or do back 3 into jump, or back 3 into back dash. Like, just don't finish a string if you get punished by it once. It's not worth it. You don't want to get jab punished every time you do this. But for the most part, the people that you go up against are not going to know things like this. This is very important information for us rain players. You guys definitely need to lab this. Lab timing your meaties, because it works really well. Also, what you could do instead of doing back 3, you could just do dash up back 2. You don't even have to dash up back 2. You could just do back 2, and back 2 meaties just fine after +13, because back 2 actually has 3 frames of active frames, so it works every time just the same way that back 3 does. But I just prefer back 3 just because it's a low. So if you catch somebody wake up stand blocking or something, you'll catch them with a low. Or instead of mediating, if you think they're gonna wake up, you have the option to backdash after this setup as well. So like if Melina were to do up 3 here, which I'll set her to do, after this, if you backdash and they wake up, you can whiff punish with forward 2. I've caught a lot of people with this. I would set them up pretty much every time and meaty them with back 3 every time, and they started getting sick of my meaty, so they started trying to up 3 or up 2. You back up and you catch the forward 2 KB punish, which goes really well with this setup. As you can see, it's really just a mind game of whenever you get a hit with Rain, you just kind of think about what you want to do next. Like, hey, do I want to go for the setup? He has no bar, let's go for the setup. Or I hit him, we're mid screen, let's take this to the corner. All right, we're taking it to the corner. Now she's in the corner. Or mid-screen, I'm trying to kill, I want to do optimal damage. You can spend 2 bars, end in forward 3. Doesn't give you too much extra damage, but you know, it gives you good extra damage. Or what you can do instead, if you want to end in you can end in down 2, you can do that as well. Down 2 does give you the most damage. But as you can see, you just have different options with the character, and there's so much you can do with him, and that's why I love him. But yeah, after that, we're gonna talk a little bit about combo routes, and that's probably gonna be all. Alright, so for his combo routes, we're going to talk about combo routes and neutral combined, because I feel like they go well with the way Rain plays. Now, for Rain's neutral, I think you want to, well, I don't really think you want to do this. This is probably the best way to play Rain. You can use a lot of his projectiles to harass your opponent, and then once your opponent respects your projectile, which is a really good neutral option for you, you can start getting into like I guess the character start range. And when you're around here, good buttons for you are forward 4. It checks the opponent if they're doing anything. Forward 3 is good. It'll catch your opponent if they're jumping. It'll catch them out of the air sometimes. And if they're just sitting there blocking, you'll just be +1 in their face. Not +1, excuse me. -1 in their face. We could talk about like we talked about before, the little mash mind game you could play. Or you could just like down 3 just to check what they're doing, and maybe bait an anti-air, because when you start doing down 3 a lot, you can't really hit rain on his down 3. So when you do down 3, you'll catch a lot of people that like to jump, so you'll then start to be able to anti-air. Or if you got an opponent that respects you a lot, you could just really dash in really quickly, get a grab in, or dash and get a jump in. Works really well. And then when you ever hit your jumping combos, here your jumping confirms. This is kind of like merging into the combo routes that I wanted to talk about. If you ever hit a jump kick, you could do dash up 1-3, or you could do dash up 2-4. Now the way 2-4 works, you have to dial in the whole string to get 2-4. So you do 2-4-2, but you cancel on the 2-4. I'm gonna get back to that in a second, but you can do dash up 2-4 into amplify Hydro Boost, or excuse me, amplify Geyser Palm into 2-4-2 grab as your ender, and then go back into the meaty set we talked about. Or when you hit your jump ins, you could do 1-3 if 1-3 is easier for you, and then you can end in a Geyser Palm again if you just want extra damage. You get nearly 30% for those jumping combos, so it's really worth it. Let's talk about other combo routes. We're going to talk about the down 2. Here's the combo that I like to do off the down 2. It's not by any means optimal, but I think it's pretty consistent. Pretty much the same combo route as the jump 3 that I showed earlier. So what I do is I do dash up 2-4-2, but you cancel on the 4, and then you do dash up 2-4-2 grab for the meaty setup. And you get 37%, so it's not bad. But instead, if you want to cash out for like more damage, you could do 2-4-2 into Geyser Palm and get 38. You get slightly more damage. Or like I said before, you can end in Argus Plunge if you want the corner carry, because that works well also. I dropped it there, but you get the idea. If you want the corner carry, okay, I'm trash. But if you want the corner carry, you just do 2-4 into 2-4 Geyser, 2-4 Argus Plunge. Gives you less damage, but you get the positioning like we spoke about. Now to combo into his Fatal Blow, what you have to do is cancel after the 4 and don't let the 2-4-2 hit. There's other ways to do it, but let's say you hit 1-3-3 on your opponent, you could do dash up 2-4 into Fatal Blow, and that will combo. But if you don't want to do, if you're having a hard time with the 2-4-2 input, because I know a lot of people were telling me that they were, it's not really hard. It's just a dial in. It's not very hard to do in my opinion, but if it's hard for you to do, what you can do instead is just do back 1 in the Fatal Blow. That works as well. It does give you less damage, but as you can see, it works. But 2-4 is my go-to. That's what I usually do. It gives you slightly more damage, and it's easy to do. After Hydro Boost, the way to combo into Fatal Blow is the same thing. You just do dash up 2-4-2, but you cancel on the 4. But if you feel like that's too hard, you can do back 1 as well. But back 1 is a little harder to get here because back 1 does not have the range that 2-4-2 does have. So you have to let that full dash and hit. But like I said, 2-4-2 in my opinion is just easier to deal with, or easier to do. So that does work. That's how you combo into the Fatal Blow. You can also do it off of anti-air conversions. Like if you ever catch your opponent jumping at you, here's what I do. You can do like stand 1, 2-4 Fatal. That works. You could do let me see if this works. I actually don't know if this works. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's really hard to combo into his Fatal. You don't really want to do too many hits before you go into it, but it still works. You can do it. 1-3 also works in the Fatal. If you ever hit anti-air someone, you could just do anti-air stand 1, 1-3 Fatal. That does work. That's really the only ways that you can get into his Fatal Blow consistently. You can't really do his Fatal Blow too consistently. And off of down 2, I do the same thing. I do 2-4 into Fatal Blow. I'm sure other things work, like maybe stand 3 into Fatal. No, it doesn't work. Stand 4, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work. But there's a lot of other ways you can combo into Fatal Blow, I'm sure. But this is just the ways I've been sticking to because everything else seems so hard. I just don't think it's worth it because his Fatal Blow is 26 frame startup, and the gravity in this game does not help rain at all. So that's just the way I've been sticking to comboing to my my Fatal Blow. And one other way you can combo into Fatal Blow is after the 4-2 grab. I would not recommend using this because it only gives you 28%. If you go 4-2 grab into Fatal Blow, it is guaranteed you do get the Fatal Blow, but only use it if you get the Crushing Blow. If you manage to counter hit your opponent and you get the Crushing Blow and you use it, you get 45%, and it's really, really good. Really good damage, really good unbreakable damage. It does not scale bad at all. It scales really well actually. But if you do not use the crushing blow, it scales fairly bad. So I would just recommend not using it unless it's guaranteed to kill. Okay, so to quickly recap, the variation that I'm using is Hydro Boost. I'm using Geyser Palm, and we are using what is it? Geyser Palm, Hydro Boost, and what's the last move I had? Let's see. And Hydroplane. Yes, Hydroplane. I didn't talk too much about Hydroplane. I felt like I should have. I definitely missed out on it. But to give you guys a rundown on Hydroplane and why I use it is you have the ability to create pressure and space for yourself while using your defensive meter and not your offensive meter. And it helps you single hit confirm. So the buttons that I talked about before, like back 1 or back 3, sorry, I said that backwards, back 3 and back 1, and even forward 2, you now can hit confirm off of them using Hydroplane. And this is really good. Now I'm gonna set the AI to block a random attack, and if I do forward 2, I can see that it hit and hit confirm into it. But if I do forward 2 and they block, I can cancel. That worked really well. I'm glad the bot did that. But they block, you cancel. They block, you cancel. They block, you cancel. They block, you cancel. They get hit, you confirm into it. And even if you don't confirm into it, it's safe on block for the most part. It's minus 16, but it has really good pushback. The only characters that are going to be punishing you for stuff like this is like maybe Spawn, Kodal might punish you, Sub-Zero will punish you with Slide, Johnny Cage and Liu Kang with their flying kicks, and like Jackie with Dash Punch. But other than that, you're not going to get punished for that move too hard, but that's why you're hit confirming it. You know, you don't want to get punished. You have the ability to hit confirm it. The same goes for the back 3, like I said. You can hit confirm off of this. And the damage is nothing to scoff at. You get more than throw damage. That's 16% on an amplify, which is really good. And even if you don't amp it and you hit them with it, I'll take a nearly 12%. You get some good pushback too. It works really well. But what other move did I not? I did not talk about Evaporate, but Evaporate is pretty self-explanatory. You just use it when you're about to get hit by a projectile. It's not very good for using it in gaps as the recovery is bad. It's 25 frames of recovery, so no one is going to be recovering for that long that you just get out of it and punish them. There are certain like unique situations that I'm sure you guys will find, such as Fujin's back 1 string. If he ever finishes the string and you evaporate through the last hit, you can punish him. There's also a few other ways you can do evaporate punishes, which it looks really cool, but it's not optimal at all. It's not really worth it in my opinion. But let's go over some of the other ways that you can play Rain. So just remember, I had Hydro Boost, Hydroplane, and Geyser Palm, and I had Argus Plunge, Evaporate, and Projectile. But let's show you a few other ways that you can use Rain. I'll talk about these, and then that'll most likely be it. That's all I really have to say about his variations. But the variation that I just had, I believe that's the best variation for Rain. But if you guys want to, you can switch out Hydroplane for Quantum Rift. So this is pretty much the same variation that I had before. I still have the same moves, except instead of Hydroplane, I have Quantum Rift. Now, Quantum Rift is a really good move, really, really good. There's a lot of things that Quantum Rift absorbs that you guys will be so surprised about. Now, not only does it absorb projectiles, it also just so good in neutral. So I just use I use Quantum Rift in neutral. Really, it's 11 frame startup, really fast, so you can react to projectiles and use it. And now that I'm behind this, I don't have to worry about taking projectile trades, because now I win all projectile trades. I don't get hit by any projectile that my opponent throws, besides some characters. Now, some characters such as Melina, unfortunately, has double hitting projectiles. So projectiles like these will cause an issue for your Quantum Rift. So her projectile is double hitting, so it'll only absorb one, and the other one still goes through. Same thing goes for Cassie Cage. If Cassie Cage shoots at you, she shoots 2 bullets, so it'll only absorb 1, and the other one will still get through. But this move is also really good for characters like Sub-Zero, who normally always win projectile trades. If you have this against Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero cannot play the zoning game with you. Usually Sub-Zero doesn't have a problem with zoners, but Rain is one of the few zoners that can, like, not give Sub-Zero an issue per se, but he can give him a run for his money, you know? Like, you don't have to deal with Ice Ball, and you have a really good mid projectile. So it's really solid in that aspect. It also works well against other zoners such as like Shang. It works well against Cetrion. It also works well against characters that don't have good projectiles or projectiles with really slow startup. So like if you throw this up against Devora and she uses her bug and it gets eaten, she'll still be in recovery and you can like dash in and punish her. Or other even really cool situations like this will even eat Rockwall from Cetrion or Boulder from Cetrion, or there's so many different things that this eats. It also absorbs Aaron Black's up 2 since it counts as a projectile, so Aaron Black can up 2 on you. It's just a bunch you can do with that that one move, and that move is really good. This is also a really good way to run Rain. Now let me show you another variation setup that I have for Rain. I have about 2 more. Everything is fairly similar, but there are different things that you need in certain matchups. What I have in this one is a Denian Force. And what a Denian Force allows you to do is use Argus Plunge in the air, and it allows you to use Evaporate in the air. Evaporate becomes 6 frames on startup in the air. Just take note of. It's normally 8 frames, but it's 6 frames in the air. So if my opponent ever is just like throwing projectiles, and like I jump over and I think I'm gonna get hit by any, I can just Evaporate. Because normally if I jump back and I don't, I'll come down on the projectile and I'll get hit, as you saw. But if I jump back and I'm like, hey, I don't want to get hit at all, I can just go into this. Or I can just go over the projectiles. You have options. Like characters with low ground pounds or like low projectiles, you can like short hop and go over them and punish your opponent. It works really, really well. Denian Force is really solid on Rain. If you don't like Hydroplane or Quantum Rift, you can use this. This is really good. Let me show you how you can use it in combos as well. You can actually stop your opponent from breaking away with this, and you can set yourself up for the Argus Plunge Crushing Blow. The Crushing Blow requirement is after Rain has traveled some distance. It's not far distance, but as long as he traveled like at least a little bit past character start, you'll get the Crushing Blow here. And you can actually, let me turn off easy Crushing Blow so you guys see this is easy to do. If you ever land Hydro Boost, you can set yourself up for the Crushing Blow. And it combos, so you can get 40% combo pretty much. That didn't work, but as you can see, it works fairly well when you use it like this. 40%. If they have no meter, you get 40% pretty much guaranteed on your hit confirms. It's actually really, really solid. I actually found this out from Ikeo on Twitter. I did not know about this, and I saw this and I was like, hey, that's pretty good. So sometimes you can mess it up though. As you can see, I'm not doing it consistently every time because it's not the variation that I run, but if you guys do like it, you can use this. It also catches breakaways. I'm gonna try to set Rain to do it, and then I'm gonna try to break away from it. It's not perfect because Hydro Boost is still like a little bit of a buggy move, but you'll see. So like I get hit by it, I'm trying to break. Oh wait, hang on. I'll delay it slightly. Okay, I just didn't do it fast enough with the Rain. I don't know why Rain didn't can. This is hard to show off, but as you can see, it does work how you would intend it to work. I promise. I promise I'm not trolling you guys. Let me just try to hit this once. Alright, well Rain is just not canceling, which is unfortunate. It's hard to show. But let me see if I can set the bot to do it. So I'm just not trolling you guys. Rain, cancel please. Alright, the bot is actually trolling me now. Alright, whatever. Now, one last way to play Rain is actually his variation 1. I think this is one of his underused variations. I haven't explored with it too much, but I do know it is very good because it works well against zoners, or you could just play really lame with it. You can zone yourself and it works well against zoners. So it makes the zoning game really good, and I'll show you why. What I have is just the competitive variation 1. Now, this is the preset variation that NRS sets up. So you get Quantum Rift, you get Quantum Slice, and you get a Denian Force. And instead of Argus Plunge, you get to do this in the air, which is really cool. It's like a dive kick, except like you can make it safe on block by amplifying it. So what you could do is stuff like jump kick, dive kick into amplify and stay safe. So it's a good chip. And like we talked about how good his jump kick is earlier, you could just do instant jump kick into dive kick and amp it. Or instant jump kick, dive slash in the air. You don't even have to go down with it. You can just do it in the air to get out of the corner. If you're in the corner, you can whiff buttons in the air and then go into it. It's just a really solid move to be able to do in the air. Now on the ground, it is a high, so if you just use it in neutral, just be mindful. They can just duck it. But if you amp it, it does become a mid. So using it in strings is not very good because they can just duck the high and punish you. If you're using it too predictably, you have to switch up your options a little bit. But what it doesn't do as well, it doesn't cover your flawless block gaps either, and it does have a gap itself. So if you just do something into it, your opponent can still flawless block it in up 3 or up 2 or whatever they want to do after. Now, what's really good about this variation is that along with Quantum Rift, you actually get a Crushing Blow here. Let me make sure they're not blocking. Let me turn on the Crushing Blow. The Crushing Blow works after you've absorbed 2 projectiles. So after you've absorbed 2, if you ever hit your opponent, boom, you get a Crushing Blow. Now, to combo your opponent after it, it's fairly easy. You don't get like any ridiculous combos, but it's you have some cool stuff you can do. Like solid 40% off the Crushing Blow. I did use two bars and a Crushing Blow, but it is still solid damage. But if you ever confirm into like Rain Kick, you could do something like Rain Kick into boom, and then you can still combo into like Fatal Blow or something. I actually don't know if that works. I don't lab this variation, but as you can see, you still get a pretty solid Crushing Blow with this move. It's really good to use. It's really fun too, since like you just kind of like dive kicking, slashing everywhere. It's really cool. And you can like amp it twice in the air if you wanted to, amp it once on the ground. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with this. This variation is really solid to use. You can actually combo off your jump kicks too with this Crushing Blow. So if you want to do something like that, you could go into Fatal Blow. Really solid damage. It gives 46, which is actually really nice. But that's really all the competitive variations that I think Rain has, that I think Rain can make use of. But with that being said, I think this is going to conclude the guide. If I did miss anything, please do let me know down in the comments below. If you guys felt like I missed anything, or if you guys want a part 2, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Rain, because there is some character specific things I can go over, but for the most part, I think I did a good job at covering what the character does well. As I said before, he does, you know, well in terms of pressure, and you can play like a good zoning game. Mid-range is kind of lackluster, but you know, you can make up for that with your insane movement. Like Rain's movement is actually top 1 best movement in the game. But if you guys did enjoy the video, please do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as I will be making more content just like this. I'm working on the Sub-Zero one next. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.